Um, I don't know. I don't know if you want to talk about this, but I brought a couple of just very difficult hardcovers, or if you want to save that for another time.
No, please show them. I think we're a half hour in, and people should know.
Okay, so I'm going to start with upside down. Get it the right way up. X-Men Inferno. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This was not a particularly great run on X-Men. Why it's become so expensive is because it wasn't a great run on X-Men, I think. Some people would disagree with me, but I don't think it's one of the greatest runs. It had a limited run. The graphic novels become very hard to get. They brought out a prologue recently, and there's a crossovers omnibus, which I don't have yet, but I will get it soon. And it's really for those completists. I think it's for those people that want to be a X-Men completist and get hold of the book. The book currently retails online for, drumroll, 200, yeah, exactly, 200 and minimum $80. That's cheap.
Oh God.
Around $280 is probably the asking price for that book right now. It can go up to $500.
So I would have to make my whole comic book budget for worth 2 months just to buy that book.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And you have to find one first.
Yeah, and that.
I've seen them go for up to $500 on eBay without too much difficulty.
Jesus.
Yeah. Another great book, which can be quite expensive, is this one, Eternals.
That's old. That must be like from
Jack Kirby. That's a Jack Kirby book, I'm pretty sure. And this book is about the New Gods. And for those people that kind of like the stories about the Eternals and gods walking the earth, then this is for you. I'm a big cosmic fan, so these kind of stories are great. What's special about this one that I've got here is it is still sealed. But let me tell you something. I'm opening it. I don't care if it loses money.
You're not going to resell it, so you do whatever you want with it.
I will open that book and I will read it, damn you. So I'm going to suffer the consequences. I just don't care. I'm a criminal like that.
And then resell it for double the money.
Oh God, this is one of my favorites.
Nice. I've never read a Wolverine comic book except Wolverine Origins. That should probably be the first book I should read.
Try and get hold of one. This book retails for around $350.
Jeez.
I'll tell you who we got one. You know, Thackaday. For those people that don't know, there is another collector on who you're quite friendly with, right? Called Thackaday.
Yes, of course.
And he found one for about $150. I think he said how much he found it for. I think it was around $100 to $150, which was an incredible buy. So if you see this book just sitting in a comic shop for $100, you pick it up instant. You pick it up because you go and put that online and you make money, even if you don't want the comic book. This is a real fantastic book. Of course, if you don't want the book, you're an idiot, because Chris Claremont and Frank Miller at their best. So that's a separate discussion to be had. But
well, I do know that Pack bought the same omnibus, but with a variant.
It was a variant cover, right? I don't know if that made it
have something to do with the price, maybe, because people don't want that variant as much as the original printing cover.
It's a possibility, but yeah, I don't know. That is a possibility. But that book, if you look on Amazon right now, you probably don't want to do that. But it is crazy money book. It's a crazy money book. Not, however, as crazy as the next book that I'm going to show you, which is the X-Men. This is the Alex Ross variant cover, I think. Stanley #1, matte black finish, first edition. This book, right now, probably goes for around $300 to $500 again.
Again.
I didn't pay that. So before you ask me, no, I didn't. I didn't pay that.
What did you pay? Do you remember?
Probably around $100.
Okay, then that's a steal then.
Yeah, that's right. But I got it a long time ago. I didn't get them yesterday. We're talking, if you go back in my collection, you can actually see when I got certain books, because I've got a first video, a second video of my collection, and a third video of my collection, and when it appears is when I got it. And I think I found it at a shop, sitting there, ready to go, and I just took it. Sorry. It's just like anything. It's what you know, isn't it? It's what you know when it comes to comic books. If you know about what it's worth and what it's not worth, then straight away you're going to be in a better position for other people who don't know. And this is what happens when you're a collector. Collectors know straight away what they're looking at. And I know what I'm looking at. I know how much they're worth approximately, most hardcover books. And I can go in and I can decide whether I want to pick it up. I don't really pick up books to resell them. So that's never happened. I don't think that I can think of. So I just buy them and put them straight on my shelf. They're for me. It's for my personal collection.
If you were put in the position that you need to sell some stuff, would you consider it? That's a hard question.
My wife says to me that I'm going to my grave with my books, i.e. that when I die, the books will just go into the grave with me. She doesn't think I'm ever going to. When I say to my wife, "Oh, this book's worth $300," she says to me, "It's not worth anything because you're never going to sell it."
Well, she's right. It's not worth anything until you sell it.
That's right. So
it's not worth that price until you.
It might be worth that to my children, but it's not going to be worth that to me. They're priceless. I put them on my shelf and they're mine, and that's part of my collection. So that's it. I don't really think about needing, like, selling it. Obviously, if I needed the money, if it's a choice between my kids and my family and the books would go. But they're a priority. I love my comic book collection, like you do, and like any of the big comic book collectors out there do. I'm going to show you one more, I think. One more.
We're collectors, we're not morons, so of course we're going to prioritize our families.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that most of you will notice that I've shown you a lot of Marvel books, and I'm sure there's some DC people out there going, what about DC? Don't you care about DC? Blah, 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 blah. So I've got a nice DC book for you guys. A nice out-of-print DC book. You'll recognize this.
Oh my God, what are you doing to me?
This is the Infinite Crisis Omnibus, written by Jeff Johns and Grant Morrison. It's got a whole load of stuff in here by both people, I think, and it is just an absolute whopper of a book. Look at that! It's a doorstop. This thing, is something that you could prop up your TV with if you needed some extra height. Over 1,000 pages in this book, and extremely rare, out of print, looking at $150, I think, possibly $200. I know you're trying to get a copy. What are you looking at the moment to pay for the book?
I had a chance to buy it for about 1,900 kroner. That is the equivalent of, I think, let's see, let me do my math here. About $180.
Right, and I think that's about right. Between 150 and 200 is probably
at the time. I just couldn't put myself to pull out all that money for one book. Yeah.
Look, a lot of these books have gained in value over time. So please don't think that I'm some super rich guy who spent a fortune on comic books. That's just not the case. I've just picked them up as they've been coming out, or when they've been on special deal, or when shops have been getting rid of books, and doing what any collector does, which is finding the best deal at the time and taking a punt on them, and they've turned out to be quite rare. But by no means have I become a multi-billionaire who's just buying up all these books. That's not what's happening.
I'll try to find that book at Comic-Con this year in Stockholm.
Yeah, and I think that at some point you will see it floating about. I think the books that you just can't find are really some of the ones that I've shown you, like the X-Men Volume 1, the companion for Daredevil, which I'm looking for friends now, like literally that version of the companion. There are two versions of the companion. There's the first version, which has a cover, like an actual proper cover. It's not engraved into the book. Yes. And then there's the second version, which they reprinted in the red and black that you've seen for the straight Frank Miller run, and that's the companion book to that one. And there is a companion with a normal cover to it, like a normal cover, which I sold some time ago. I've managed to find that a couple of times. But this red and black one, just so difficult. The Wolverine book, very, very tough. The Inferno book, very tough. Actually, one of the books that I haven't got here, which is Punisher Max Volume 4 oversized hardcover. That book is another $300 to $500 book probably, and very, very hard to come across.
I heard, and probably, I don't know if you have some of these, but Ed Brubaker run, Daredevil in Omnibus, and as well Brian Michael Bendis Omnibus.
I have those Daredevil Ed Brubaker omnibus. I have not got the Brian Michael Bendis omnibus because I got them in oversized hardcovers.
And those are fine as well.
Yeah, and those, I would say to people, if you're looking to buy, unless you're an omnibus collector, unless you're Riley, right? Unless you're someone who really wants everything in omnibus format. For those people that don't know Riley, he's a guy who has who's a big omnibus collector, talks about omnibuses on here. He's someone who should probably try and get the Daredevil omnibuses if he hasn't got them. But for those people that just want like a hardcover collection, then pick up the other ones. They're a lot cheaper. They are collected, I think, in a nicer format because there's a smaller binding, so less damage to the binding, and they're just better. They're just better books. The quality of the paper.
And they do also have the thicker kind of paperbacks out right now. Both DC and Marvel is doing them. They have the Epic collections and the Ultimate collections.
Yeah, so if you really don't want to spend them, yeah.
So if anyone has ever seen I think, Batman No Man's Land's books, that kind of thickness to them, the same goes for the Daredevil Ultimate Collection by Brian Michael Bendis. And they also have for the Frank Miller ones. If you don't have to have hardcover, you can always get the Ultimate editions, which collects a great chunk of those runs.
And saves you a small fortune in the money. Really, it does. It's really not worth it unless you really, really, really feel the need to be a collector and have them for a collection.
If you're in it for the story, 100%, and don't care about what print, go for that.
Yeah, yeah. If ever anyone wants to know whether the value of a graphic novel of any kind, feel free to ask and I'll let you know. Also, if anyone also wants to know whether a graphic novel will be valuable in the future, that's a discussion that I'm willing to have as well.